The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was bigger than any stadium on Earth. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in floating seats arranged in circles that went up toward the high ceiling. The air smelled strange, like a mix of different atmospheres that each species needed to breathe. Jack Harrison stood alone in the center, wearing his formal ambassador uniform. The blue and silver fabric felt heavy on his shoulders. Around him, aliens of all shapes and sizes watched with interest. Some had scales that changed colors. Others had tentacles instead of arms. A few looked like clouds of gas trapped in special suits. But Jack kept his eyes on the Krexneri delegate who floated down from the highest seat. The Krexneri looked like a person made of crystal, with light bouncing inside their clear body. Ambassador Harrison of Earth, the Krexneri said. Their voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. The Galactic Council has reviewed your species' application for full membership. Jack stood straight and tall. He had worked 5 years for this moment. 5 years of meetings, negotiations, and proving that humans deserved a seat at the galactic table. Earth had shared its music, its art, its scientific discoveries. They had opened their borders to alien visitors and sent their own people to learn about other worlds. After careful consideration, the Krexneri continued, the Council has reached its decision. The chamber became completely silent. Even the constant hum of the atmosphere processors seemed to fade away. Earth's application for full membership has been denied. The words hit Jack like a punch to the stomach. He heard gasps and whispers from some of the alien observers. A few made clicking sounds that might have been laughter. Jack forced himself to stay calm, to keep his face neutral. "May I ask why?" he said, his voice steady despite the anger building inside him. The Krexneri's crystal body flickered with what might have been amusement. Your species lacks the required level of technological advancement. Your ships still use primitive fusion drives. Your medical science cannot cure basic genetic defects. Your computers are generations behind our standards. But we've shown rapid progress, Jack argued. In just 50 years, we've gone from barely reaching our own moon to establishing colonies on 3 planets. Our rate of advancement is irrelevant, the Krexneri cut him off. The Council measures current capability, not potential. Furthermore, your species displays concerning cultural traits. You are aggressive, unpredictable, and show an alarming tendency toward independent action. Jack felt heat rising in his face. You mean we don't blindly follow orders? You lack proper respect for established hierarchies, the Krexneri corrected. However, the Council is prepared to offer you protectorate status. Protectorate status, Jack repeated. Yes, Earth will receive limited trade rights and restricted access to Council technology. In exchange, you will share all your scientific discoveries with the Council, submit to oversight of your space activities, and limit your expansion to approved sectors. Jack's hands clenched into fists at his sides. You want us to be your servants. We prefer the term junior partners, another voice said. This came from the Vordak representative, whose gray skin rippled as he spoke. It is a generous offer, considering your primitive state. And if we refuse? Jack asked. The Krexneris liked him slightly. Then Earth will face complete isolation from the galactic community. No trade, no technology exchange, no diplomatic relations. Your ships will be barred from Council space. Any human vessel entering our territory will be considered hostile. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Some aliens nodded in agreement. Others shifted uncomfortably. Jack noticed that the smaller, less powerful species looked worried. They probably remembered when they had faced similar ultimatums. You have 72 hours to accept these terms, the Krexneri announced. This session is concluded. As the alien delegates began filing out of the chamber, Jack remained standing in the center. His mind raced with the implications. Earth had put everything into this application. They had believed the Council's promises of equality and cooperation. Now he saw the truth. The Galactic Council was just another empire, using pretty words to hide their real purpose. Control. 3 days to decide Earth's future. 3 days to choose between submission and isolation. Jack touched the communicator on his wrist. He had a very important call to make. The emergency meeting room beneath the White House was packed with people. President Lisa Martinez sat at the head of the long table, her face serious as she listened to Jack Harrison's report. The holographic display showed his tired face as he spoke from his ship near the council station. "They want us as servants, nothing more," Jack finished. "We share everything. They share nothing. We follow their rules. They make the decisions." Lisa nodded slowly. She had expected something like this, but hearing it confirmed still stung. Around the table, the leaders of Earth's major nations leaned forward in their seats. Some appeared on screens, joining from different time zones. "Thank you, Jack," Lisa said. "Get some rest. We'll handle it from here." After Jack's image disappeared, the room exploded with voices. Everyone tried to speak at once. Lisa raised her hand for silence. "One at a time," she said firmly. "Paul, you first." Defense Secretary Paul Rodriguez stood up. His military background showed in his straight posture. "Madam President, this is exactly what we warned about. The Council sees us as a resource to exploit. They want our creativity, our fast thinking, our ability to solve problems in ways they can't imagine. But they want it on their terms." "What are our options?" asked Prime Minister Chen Wei from the Beijing screen. "We have 3 choices," Paul replied. "Accept their terms and become second-class citizens, refuse and face isolation. Or," he paused, "we make them regret this decision. You're suggesting military action." President Okafor from the African Union looked shocked. "No," Paul shook his head. "I'm suggesting we show them what humanity can do when we're not held back by their rules." Dr. Karen Phillips, head of the Science Advisory Board, raised her hand. Lisa nodded to her. "May I share something?" Karen asked. At Lisa's approval, she activated her tablet. New images filled the holographic display. "These are the real numbers on our technological development. The data we didn't share with the Council." Gasps filled the room. The charts showed advancement curves that shot upward at impossible angles. "We're already ahead of them in several fields," Karen explained. "Quantum computing, genetic engineering, neural interfaces. We held back because we wanted to appear non-threatening. We thought if we played nice, they'd accept us." "You're saying we dumbed ourselves down?" asked Chancellor Müller from the European Federation. "Exactly," Karen nodded. "Their fusion drives. We solved those problems 5 years ago. Their medical technology. We've moved beyond it. We just didn't want to scare them." "And look where being polite got us," Paul muttered. Lisa studied the faces around her. She saw anger, determination, and something else. Pride. These people represented all of humanity. They had worked together, put aside old conflicts, united their world for a chance at the stars. And now they were being told they weren't good enough. "The question is," she said slowly, "what do we do now?" "We tell them no," said President Nakamura from the Pacific Alliance. "We reject their offer." "But the isolation," Chancellor Müller began. "Will be temporary," Karen interrupted. "Look at these projections." New charts appeared. If we pool all our resources, stop holding back, work without their restrictions, we could surpass them in 20 years. Maybe less. "You're talking about going it alone," Lisa said, "completely cutting ties with the galactic community." "Not cutting ties," Paul corrected. "Starting fresh, on our own terms." The room fell quiet as everyone considered this. Lisa looked at each face, each screen. She saw the same thought in every expression. Humanity had always been at its best when facing challenges. When told something was impossible, humans found a way to do it anyway. "We need to vote," she said finally. "All in favor of rejecting the Council's offer and pursuing independent development." One by one, hands went up. Voices called out "aye" from screens around the world. The vote was unanimous. Lisa stood up. "Then it's decided," Jack will deliver our answer. From this moment forward, Earth charts its own course. Outside the meeting room, the sun was rising over Washington. A new day was beginning. Lisa thought it fitting. Humanity was about to begin a new chapter in its story. And this time, they would write it themselves. Captain Steve Bennett stood on the bridge of the U.S. Independence, watching the final preparations unfold. Through the massive windows, he could see dozens of human ships gathering near the border of Council space. Cargo vessels, research ships, diplomatic shuttles, all preparing for the Great Withdrawal. "Status report," he called out. Lieutenant Maya Patel looked up from her console. "All civilian vessels accounted for, Captain. The last embassy staff are boarding transport ships now. Ambassador Harrison's shuttle just docked with us." Steve nodded. This was history in the making. In the 3 weeks since Earth rejected the Council's ultimatum, humans had been systematically removing themselves from galactic society. Every human on every Council world was coming home. "Incoming message from the Crexenary patrol ship," Communications Officer Danny Chen announced. "They're demanding to know what we're doing." "Tell them we're complying with their isolation directive," Steve replied with a slight smile. "We're leaving." Through the bridge speakers, they could hear the confused response from the Crexenary commander. "But you have trade agreements, research partnerships. Your scientists are involved in hundreds of joint projects." "Not anymore," Steve said clearly. "All contracts are terminated as of today. Earth is withdrawing completely from Council space." The alien commander sounded shocked. "You can't just leave. There are procedures, transition periods, obligations to fulfill." "Watch us," Steve muttered, then louder. "Lieutenant Patel, begin the data purge." Maya's fingers danced across her console. Around them, lights blinked as human technology executed its final commands. In Council databases across the galaxy, human research data vanished. Scientific theories, technological blueprints, creative works, everything humanity had shared was being erased. "They're panicking," Danny reported. "Multiple Council ships are approaching our position." Steve watched the tactical display. The alien vessels were keeping their distance, clearly uncertain how to handle this unprecedented situation. No species had ever completely withdrawn from the Council before. "Captain," Maya called out, "I'm picking up distress signals from several human colonies. The Council is trying to block their departure." "Signal all human military vessels," Steve ordered. "Form up on those colonies. We're taking our people home." The U.S. Independence moved forward, joined by other human warships. It wasn't a threat, just a clear message. Humanity would not leave anyone behind. On colony worlds across Council space, the scene repeated itself. Human settlers packed up their homes, their businesses, their lives. They loaded everything onto ships and headed for the border. Some aliens watched in confusion. Others tried to convince their human neighbors to stay. Dr. Alex Kim, evacuating from a joint research station, faced his Vordak colleague one last time. "I'm sorry, Zellner, but my people have made their choice." "This is madness," the alien scientist protested. "We were so close to breakthrough on the gravity wave detector. You can't abandon our work." Alex paused at the airlock. "We'll continue the work, just without you." He handed over a data pad. "Here's everything we contributed to the project. Do what you want with it." Back on the Independence, Jack Harrison joined Steve on the bridge. The ambassador looked older than his years, worn down by recent events. "How does it feel?" Steve asked quietly. "Like watching a door close," Jack replied. "One that might never open again." They watched as the last human ships crossed the border. Behind them, force fields began activating around Earth's territory. Communication relays went dark. Trade routes that had bustled with activity fell silent. "Sir," Maya reported, "all human assets have been withdrawn. The isolation protocols are active." Steve took a deep breath. "Then it's done. Helm, set course for Earth. Maximum speed." As the Independence turned toward home, Steve noticed something on the tactical display. The Council ships were spreading out, taking positions along the border. They were setting up a blockade, making sure humanity stayed isolated. "Let them watch," he said softly. "Let them think they've put us in a cage. They'll learn soon enough who really built the bars." The human fleet accelerated away from Council space, leaving behind a confused and suddenly quieter galaxy. The Great Silence had begun. 5 years had passed since the day humans vanished from the galaxy. The Galactic Council chamber felt different now, quieter. Many seats that once held lively debates now hosted somber discussions about failing systems and declining progress. Ambassador Zechtel of the Vrathi Empire stood before the council, his green scales dull with worry. The data pad in his clawed hand contained news he didn't want to share. "Esteemed colleagues," he began, his voice heavy, "I must report that our agricultural production has dropped another 15% this quarter. Without human biotechnology updates, our crop enhancement programs have stalled." Murmurs filled the chamber. This wasn't the first such report, and everyone knew it wouldn't be the last. "Perhaps we can adapt their existing technologies," suggested the Felneri representative, her feathers rustling nervously. "We've tried," Zechtel replied, "but human systems were constantly evolving. They would send updates, improvements, new solutions every month. Now those systems are becoming obsolete, and we don't understand them well enough to maintain them ourselves." The Crexenary delegate, the same one who had delivered the ultimatum to humanity 5 years ago, shifted in his crystalline form. "Surely this is temporary. They cannot sustain themselves in complete isolation." "Can't they?" asked the Morvani ambassador, his tentacles curling with doubt. "We've detected no distress signals, no requests for aid. Their border remains sealed. Our entertainment industry is collapsing," added the Yavari representative. "Human media made up 30% of our content. Their stories, their music, their games, nothing we create matches their creativity." The word hung in the air. Creativity. Humans had brought something unique to the galaxy, something the other species hadn't realized they'd grown dependent on until it was gone. "Medical research has slowed to a crawl," Dr. Theron of the Council Science Division reported from his floating platform. Human researchers had a way of seeing problems differently. They would propose solutions that seemed impossible, then make them work. Without their input, we're stuck following conventional paths. "What about trade?" someone asked. "Surely other species can fill the gap left by human merchants." The Dravani trade minister shook his head. Human traders took risks others wouldn't. They established routes through dangerous sectors, negotiated with hostile species, found ways to move goods everyone else thought impossible to transport. Those routes are closed now. Those contacts are lost. A heavy silence fell over the chamber. Each representative was remembering something humanity had brought to their world. Technologies, art, solutions to problems they'd struggled with for generations. "The worst part," Zechtel continued slowly, "is the fracturing. Without humans as a unifying force, old tensions are resurfacing. Border disputes, trade wars, territorial claims, issues we thought resolved are coming back." Humans had a phrase, the elderly Penteri scholar noted from his seat. "Herding cats." They were remarkably good at bringing diverse groups together, finding common ground where none seemed to exist. "They were mediators," someone else added. "Negotiators. They could speak to anyone, adapt to any culture. And we told them they weren't sophisticated enough," the Morvani ambassador said bitterly. The Crexenary delegate's light flickered with what might have been discomfort. "We followed established protocols. Their technology was advancing faster than ours," Dr. Theron interrupted. "I've reviewed the data. Their rate of advancement was exponential. We judged them by where they were, not where they were going." "Has anyone tried to contact them?" asked a small voice from the back. It was the Zenti representative, whose people had always maintained good relations with humans. "The border is sealed," Zechtel reminded everyone. "They respond to no communications. Ships that approach are warned away by automated systems. They've made their position clear. So we wait, the Krexneri said firmly. They will realize they need us. They will return, seeking red mission. But as the council members looked around their chamber, at the empty spaces where human creativity once flourished, at the failing systems and stalling progress, a troubling thought crossed many minds. What if humans didn't need them at all? What if the isolation was exactly what humanity wanted? The great silence continued, and with each passing day, the galaxy felt a little smaller, a little dimmer, without the spark that humanity had brought to the stars. 10 years after humanity's withdrawal, Captain Selnoth guided his patrol ship through the outer regions of former human space. The Galactic Council had finally decided to investigate the strange energy readings detected near the old Earth territories. As a veteran of the patrol fleet, Selnoth had volunteered for this mission, curious about what the humans had been doing in their isolation. Approaching the border coordinates, his navigation officer announced, "Energy signatures are getting stronger." "Shields up," Selnoth ordered. "Proceed with caution." The patrol ship slipped past the invisible boundary that marked the edge of human space. For years, this border had been absolute. Any ship that crossed it was warned away by automated defenses. But today, there was only silence. "Sir," the sensor officer called out, her voice shaking. "You need to see this." The main view screen flickered, then displayed something that made Selnoth's heart stop. Before them stretched a massive construct that defied belief. Space habitats, each larger than the Council's greatest stations, formed an intricate network connected by streams of energy. Ships moved between them, sleek vessels that looked nothing like the human ships of a decade ago. "By the ancient stars," Selnoth whispered, "what have they built?" "The energy readings, sir," the science officer reported. "They're using power sources we can't identify. The mathematics don't match any known physics." A human ship approached them. It was half the size of their patrol vessel, but moved with impossible grace. No visible engines, no exhaust ports, just smooth motion that suggested mastery over space itself. "Incoming transmission," communications reported. A human face appeared on screen. The woman wore a simple uniform with no rank insignia. "Patrol vessel, you are in human space. State your purpose." Selnoth straightened. "I am Captain Selnoth of the Galactic Patrol Fleet. We detected unusual energy signatures and came to investigate." The woman nodded. "You may observe, but do not approach any closer. Our security systems are protective." "May I ask?" Selnoth ventured. "What is this place?" "This is Nexus Station Beta," she replied. "One of 17 primary habitats in the Sol Development Zone." 17. Selnoth couldn't hide his shock. Each of these stations was larger than anything the Council had built in centuries. How did you construct all this in just 10 years? The woman smiled slightly. "When you're not limited by Council regulations and bureaucracy, progress happens quickly." "Is there anything else, Captain?" "Your ships," the science officer blurted out. "How do they move without engines?" "Quantum field manipulation," the woman answered casually. "We solved that problem 6 years ago. Faster than light travel without the need for jump points or warp bubbles." The bridge crew exchanged stunned looks. The Council's best scientists had declared such technology impossible. "Would you share this technology?" Selnoth asked hopefully. The Council made their position clear on technology sharing. The woman replied, "We are honoring their desire for separation." Another human ship passed by their view screen. This one was transparent, revealing gardens and forests inside. A city ship, Selnoth realized. A flying world. "Your medical technology," he pressed. "We've heard rumors. Aging is optional now," the woman confirmed. "Disease is largely extinct in human space. Genetic enhancement has opened possibilities we never imagined." "In 10 years." Selnoth's voice was barely a whisper. "In 10 years," she nodded. "Imagine what we'll achieve in 20 or 50. The patrol ship's sensors were working overtime, recording everything. The more they scanned, the more impossible technologies they detected. Energy shields that bent light, communication systems using quantum entanglement, matter replicators creating complex objects from raw atoms. "Captain," the woman said, "you should return to Council space now. Your presence here is making our defense grid nervous." Zelenoth looked at the vast human construct one more time. The Council had thought isolation would weaken humanity, force them to come crawling back. Instead, they had unleashed something extraordinary. "We'll leave immediately," he said. "Thank you for allowing us to observe." As the patrol ship turned back toward Council space, Zelenoth knew the report he would file would change everything. Humanity hadn't just survived in isolation. They had thrived beyond anyone's wildest imagination. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been called in the middle of the night cycle. Representatives hurried to their seats, many still adjusting their environmental suits. Captain Zelenoth's report had been classified as Priority Alpha, the highest level of urgency. "Order," the Krexenary speaker called out. "We have all reviewed Captain Zelenoth's findings. The situation is unprecedented." Holographic displays filled the chamber, showing the images Zelenoth had captured. Massive human stations, impossible ships, technology that defied understanding. The representatives watched in stunned silence. Dr. Theron from the Science Division stood up. "I've analyzed the sensor data 3 times. The energy readings suggest humans are manipulating fundamental forces we've only theorized about. They've achieved practical applications of quantum mechanics that we thought were centuries away." "How?" demanded the Vordak ambassador. "This level of advancement should take millennia, not a mere decade." "They were always capable of this," said Ambassador Zechtel quietly. "We just never let them show it." The chamber erupted in arguments. Some refused to believe the evidence. Others demanded immediate action. The Krexenary speaker restored order with difficulty. "We must focus on facts," he insisted. "Dr. Theron, continue your report." The scientist activated more displays. "Human medical technology has eliminated aging. Their latest generation doesn't experience cellular decay. They've cured every known disease, including several we considered incurable." "Impossible," someone shouted. "Yet verified," Dr. Theron replied. "But that's not all. Their ships can cross the galaxy in days. Our fastest vessels take months for the same journey. They're terraforming dead worlds in months instead of centuries. They've created artificial intelligences that make our computers look like counting beads." The Morveni ambassador raised a tentacle. "But how did they achieve all this so quickly?" "By removing the barriers we placed on them," answered the Pentari scholar. "Every regulation, every restriction, every safety protocol we insisted upon. They were chains holding back their potential." A communication signal interrupted the discussion. The main screen activated, showing a recorded message. A human face appeared. Dr. Alan Foster, now Director of Human Advancement. "Members of the Galactic Council," the recording began. "We are aware of your recent reconnaissance mission. Since you're clearly curious about our progress, we're providing this update." The image changed to show various human achievements. Cities floating in space, worlds transformed from barren rock to paradise, medical facilities where the elderly became young again, ships that bent space around them. 15 years ago, you told us we weren't advanced enough, sophisticated enough, to join your community as equals," Foster continued. "You offered us servant status instead. We chose a different path." More images appeared, human children learning in schools that taught concepts the Council considered too advanced. Scientists working without committees approving every experiment. Engineers building without forms in triplicate. Freed from your limitations, we've achieved in 15 years what you claimed would take us centuries. We've solved problems you declared unsolvable. We've built what you called impossible." The recording showed happy human faces, people living without disease, exploring new worlds, creating art with technology, pushing boundaries in every direction. You worried that we were unpredictable, that we didn't respect established hierarchies. You were right. We question everything. We challenge every limit. We believe impossible is just another word for not yet done. The final image showed Earth itself, now surrounded by gleaming stations and protected by energy shields that shimmered like aurora. We thank you for the lesson you taught us, Foster concluded. Sometimes, the greatest gift is being told no. It forced us to find our own yes. We wish you well in your established ways. Humanity will continue forward on its own path. The recording ended. The council chamber remained silent for long moments. They'd surpassed us, the Felneri representative whispered. In every measurable way, they've moved beyond us. What do we do now? Asked the Zenti delegate. The Crexenary speaker's crystalline form dimmed. We faced the truth. We didn't reject an inferior species. We rejected our successors, and now they've proven it. Outside the chamber, the galaxy continued as it had for millennia. But inside, every representative knew that the balance of power had shifted forever. Humanity hadn't just caught up. They had leapfrogged past every other species in the galaxy. Ambassador Zechtel stood at the edge of human space, his ship broadcasting on all known frequencies. Behind him waited a delegation of the most important council representatives. They had argued for weeks about this mission, but desperation had finally won over pride. "This is Ambassador Zechtel of the Galactic Council," he transmitted. "We request an audience with Earth's leadership. We come in peace, seeking dialogue." For several minutes, only silence answered. Then a woman's voice filled the bridge. "Ambassador Zechtel, this is Admiral Susan Clark of Earth's Deep Space Fleet. Your request has been received. Maintain position." The view screen activated, showing Admiral Clark in a command center that looked like something from their science fiction. Behind her, displays showed star maps with human ships spread across territories the Council hadn't even explored. "Admiral Clark," Zechtel began carefully, "the Galactic Council wishes to reconsider our previous position regarding humanity." Susan Clark's expression remained neutral. The Council was quite clear about their position 15 years ago. "Humanity has honored your wishes. We have remained separate. The galaxy needs humanity," Zechtel pressed. "Without your innovation, your creativity, we are stagnating. Fragmenting." "That sounds like an internal council problem," the Admiral replied. "Not our concern." The Crexenary delegate stepped forward. "We made an error in judgment. We admit this. Surely you can." "Can what?" Susan interrupted. "Forget 15 years of isolation. Pretend you didn't call us primitive and unsophisticated. Act like you didn't try to make us your servants." "Please," Zechtel said. "Our medical systems are failing. Diseases we thought conquered are returning. Our food production continues to decline. Wars are breaking out between member species. The Council is falling apart." Admiral Clark leaned back in her chair. "And you think humanity should fix your problems? After you rejected us, we're willing to offer full membership now," the Crexenary said quickly. "Equal status, a permanent seat on the Council, access to all our technology." A smile played at the corner of Susan's mouth. "Your technology. We've moved so far beyond your technology that your offer is meaningless. What could you possibly give us that we haven't already developed ourselves?" The delegation exchanged worried looks. They had nothing to bargain with. "What about compassion?" The Penteri scholar spoke up. "Humans were known for helping others, for showing mercy. We offered to help 15 years ago," Susan reminded them. "We wanted to share our potential, work together, build something greater. You decided we weren't worthy." "Times have changed," Zechtel tried again. "We've changed. We see now what we couldn't see then. Humanity represents the future of this galaxy." "Yes, we do," Susan agreed. "But that future doesn't require the Galactic Council." A tactical display appeared beside her, showing human ships. Not dozens, not hundreds, but thousands, each one more advanced than anything in the Council fleet. "We've established colonies in distant sectors you haven't even mapped," she continued. "We've made contact with species you don't know exist. We've built a network of allies who judge others by their potential, not their current limitations. You've created your own alliance." Zechtel felt his heart sink. Not created. Inspired. Species who were tired of Council restrictions, who wanted to grow without artificial limits. "They came to us." The Morveni ambassador spoke up. "Some of our member species have disappeared in recent years." "Are you saying?" "I'm saying beings will always seek freedom over control, growth over stagnation, future over past." "We're begging you," Zechtel said, abandoning all diplomatic pretense. "The Galactic Council is dying. Without humanity." "The Galactic Council chose its path," Susan said firmly. "Humanity chose ours. Your problems are no longer our responsibility." "Is there nothing we can offer? Nothing we can do to repair this relationship?" Susan studied them for a long moment. "Actually, there is one thing. But it doesn't involve repairing old relationships. It involves building new ones." The delegation leaned forward hopefully. "Dissolve the Galactic Council," she said simply. "It represents an outdated system of control and limitation. If you truly want to work with humanity, you'll need to start fresh. As equals, all of us." The suggestion hit them like a shockwave. Dissolve the Council, the institution that had governed the galaxy for millennia. "Think about it," Susan concluded. "You know where to find us when you decide." The transmission ended, leaving the delegation in stunned silence. The price of rejoining humanity was the complete transformation of galactic civilization itself. The Unity Station hung in space like a jewel among the stars. Built by human hands in just 3 months, it dwarfed the old Council headquarters. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered in its vast assembly hall, many seeing human architecture for the first time. The sweeping curves, the transparent walls showing the galaxy beyond, the gentle artificial gravity. Everything spoke of a civilization that had mastered both technology and beauty. President Daniel Kim stood at the central podium, his enhanced eyes scanning the crowd. Beside him sat the former council members, now equal participants in something new. The transformation hadn't been easy. Some species had resisted until the very end. But as their systems failed, and their people suffered, even the proudest had accepted the truth. "Welcome to the founding assembly of the Interstellar Alliance," Daniel began. His voice carried clearly through advanced translation systems that captured not just words but emotional intent. "Today, we leap behind the old ways of hierarchy and control. Today, we build something better." The Crexenary delegate, no longer the speaker, just another voice among many, shifted in his seat. His crystalline form had lost much of its arrogance over the past months. Watching human generosity in action had humbled him. "The principles of our alliance are simple," Daniel continued. "No species stands above another. Technology is shared freely. Decisions require consensus, not decree. Growth is encouraged, not restricted. And potential is celebrated, not feared." Ambassador Zechtel remembered proposing similar ideas decades ago, only to be laughed at by the Council. Now those same ideas formed the foundation of a new galactic order, brought forth by the species they had dismissed. "Humanity offers full access to our medical technology," Daniel announced. "Within 5 years, every member species will have the means to eliminate disease and control aging. Our transportation network is open to all. Our terraforming techniques are available to any world that needs them." Gasps and chirps of excitement filled the hall. What the Council had hoarded, humanity gave freely. "But this is not charity," Daniel emphasized. "This is investment. Every species brings unique perspectives, special talents, different ways of thinking. Combined, we become greater than the sum of our parts." Dr. Lisa Wong, head of the Integration Committee, presented the cooperation frameworks. Unlike the Council's rigid structures, these were flexible guidelines that adapted to each species' needs. The Zenti, with their artistic souls, would lead cultural exchange programs. The Vordak, master builders, would head infrastructure development. Even the Krexneri found a role, their analytical minds perfect for system optimization. The human approach, Lyset explained, is not to command but to coordinate, not to restrict but to enable. We believe every species can excel when given the freedom to do so. Throughout the day, former enemies worked side by side. Human engineers shared quantum manipulation secrets with Morvani scientists. Earth doctors taught Felneri healers about genetic therapy. Children of different species played together in the station's gardens, unaware they were making history. Jack Harrison, now elderly but still sharp, watched from the observation deck. Beside him stood the current Earth ambassador, a young woman named Rachel Kim. "It's exactly what we wanted 20 years ago," Jack mused. "Just took a different path to get here." "Sometimes rejection is a gift," Rachel replied. "It forced us to prove what we could become." Below them, the signing ceremony began. One by one, representatives approached the quantum-encrypted treaty. As each signature appeared, stars on a holographic galaxy map changed color, showing worlds joining the alliance. The Krexneri delegate was among the last to sign. As he approached the podium, he paused before Daniel Kim. "We were fools," he said simply. Daniel smiled. "We were all learning. The important thing is what we build now." As the final signature sealed the alliance, celebrations erupted across known space. The old Galactic Council was history. In its place stood something unprecedented, a true partnership of equals, with humanity not as rulers but as catalysts for change. That night, as Unity Station's lights dimmed for the sleep cycle, Admiral Susan Clark sent a message to Earth. They thought turning our backs meant defeat. They never understood. It was just humanity taking a running start. The galaxy had a new future, and this time, everyone was invited to help build it.